Welcome, 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 Ohioans, ladies and gentlemen, people across the United States, across the world. Welcome to the media with me, your host, Brian West, bringing in the holiday season as usual with a smile and a chipper on my shoulder. I feel so excellent. It was a nice 50-degree day outside here in Youngstown in the Northeast Ohio region, so there's nothing for me to complain about. I am ready. We'll probably play a song, just some type of, just to try to bring in. There's so much going on in the news, as usual, across the world. If you are new to the media, this is the show where I go through the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it throughout the week, and I try to keep you informed. The top 8 stories that will keep you not only just informed but up to date on what's going on. Top 8 stories that may affect you and may change your way of thinking, may give you some sight of trying to stay navigating the news just for you. The top 8 stories. Before we get into the story, before we get into the show, let me read the disclaimer. These top 8 stories are only documented for records and to highlight topics for those in the business of talk radio, talk media, and those who just want to stay informed. Now, folks, as usual, let's get to the top 8. If you want to contribute in any way as we get through the top 8, you can go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com. That's method8inc.com, and you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something to show us some support. Every little bit helps. All of that goes back into the programs that we do and just around the community. And if your signal is not strong enough and you want to tune in online, you can go to www.600wsom.com and you can listen in online. Or if you want to tune in throughout the week, we post a show on the website www.method, the number 8, inc.com. That's www.method8inc.com. We post it throughout the week. Now let's get to the top 8 stories. Today's show, like I said, is the main thing is to try to get you to understand we're headed into the holiday season. We're actually in the holiday season now. Thanksgiving just passed. So the goal of today's show is just to keep. I'm trying to keep on a lighter tone because there's a lot going on in the news and a lot of just violent stories, violent things, and I'm just gonna try to be on a lighter note. I might even tune out with some Christmas songs from a local artist. If you're a local artist out there and you have some Christmas music that you want and you want to give it a shot, on a radio program, feel free to let me know. I'm at 5648 Market Street. I'm there from Monday through Friday. Also, if you want to see the stories that almost made it in the top 8, you can go to the website as well, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, www.method8inc.com. I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's cut to the chase. The story number 1 that made it into the Mediator this week: will the game of politics ever change in the United States? This story crept its way. It's been in the news, but what made it pop out this week and why it made it into the top 8 is because they're talking about donors for the Democrat base and donors for the Republican base. And I guess donors from the Democratic base have been very, very generous. I think Democrats were able to raise about 62 million, while Republicans they barely raised 27 million. Now, the reason why this is so important is because of the fact that everybody is painting a picture of Trump being the Scrooge of the holidays. I mean, just not the holidays, but they're painting the Republicans out to be the bad guys. And in this new environment, especially around the holidays, and you hear some of these stories and some of the stories that you'll probably hear in today's show. But if you've been keeping an eye on the news, there's been some strange things. You've got missionaries getting killed. A missionary got killed. I guess he was trying to go to a remote island, but there's some things going on, and it's got people wondering about normal human feelings. People tap into some normal feelings, and we try to figure out what's normal. So the political game, people are always talking about politics is corrupt. Politics is corrupt. I took me and my sister and my little cousin. We went out to see a movie. Did not know the movie was so violent. I'm not going to mention the name of the movie, but the movie was violent. I mean, it had a lot to do with dirty politics, people getting killed. I mean, slaughtered all. I mean, probably about every 5 minutes somebody was getting killed in the movie. But this is the environment that people are trying to be afraid of. And I know a lot of people, they're always talking about religion around these holiday season. Everybody celebrates the holidays different. Everybody has different beliefs. But I'm sure that nobody, especially if you're in your stable mind, wants to see people just die, and nobody wants to see corrupt politicians. If you look throughout history, the majority of the problems that mankind has always faced is because of corruption. You talk about the story even of Christ around Christmas, and it was an innocent man that was crucified. The story goes for the sins of all mankind, and it is the purified Lamb. But in this new environment, the story that's striking everybody's attention is if people are taking advantage of people's good deeds. You talk to some Muslim brothers, they will tell you that the Muslim faith is not as passive as the Christian faith, and Christians will tell you that you can get away with some things in Christianity. You can get away with some things in the United States. So that may be the moral of discussion, especially when you're talking about politics and why this story crept into the top 8, because of the fact that there is a party that's saying, do you want to know the reality? And then there's people saying that the Republican Party is racist. They're brutal, and every time they get in office, there's wars. And then you have one party saying that everything is fine. We need policies put in place that cater to the and then they have all these special interest groups. But the fact is throughout the years there have been some big donors into politics. And we may be seeing some things happening where we may see this could be a karma thing. We don't know. When you look at the reason why President Donald Trump got elected, this may be something. I mean, the guy was active in politics and business for a long time. This may be his time. And who knows why these things are happening, but it's stirring a lot of new conversations in the media, and the citizens of this fateful country that we live in are starting to feel left behind, especially the poor. You see a lot of heat putting on the poor in a lot of radio programs. People are getting very, very brutal. And one thing I can say about the Christian faith is that Christian faith teaches you to try to take care of the poor. Some people don't like the way the poor have been treated. There's just a lot of mixed things going on when you look at the right and the left pendulum and where things are swinging. And there are some common sense people who are looking at the big picture saying, you need money, you need to be a realist in this environment to survive. Some people say it's a jungle out there. But around the holidays, the spirit of giving is supposed to be in the air, the spirit of mercy. Even in Judea, even in the Jewish, the Hebrew faith, they had a year of Jubilee. So if there is I'm sure there's a reasoning behind all of this. There's some purpose behind all of our lives. So when you look at this direction and what's happening in the media, you have to ask yourself, if there's a God designing all this, the spirit is what we want around the holidays. Everybody believes that God, so most people believe that God is a spirit, and he roams the earth. Some people believe he comes, angels, they have all different types of terms. So that's the motivation that you should be getting, especially in your day-to-day life, is to try to progress, because of the fact that there's so much going on. And when you affect the political arena, which you may be seeing, whenever you see people dying, journalists dying, wars starting off, it's because that somebody has something that somebody else needs. And the engagement can be brutal. Let's get to story number 2. If you want to contribute in any way, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method80.com. The number 1 story, the first story that made it to the Mediator is, will the game of politics ever change? And the fact that Republicans are a little bit concerned because of donors that have been donating to Democrats, and it's getting bad, because Republicans are saying, "Hey, we're putting in work. We have values. We're giving you a plan that can work," and the Democrats just won't let go. Democrats and Republicans are fighting it out in almost every talk platform, even on TV. But there's some realism in the air, saying that the only way we can win this thing is to basically go back to the old style of thinking, which means work and have some type of ethical reasoning, moral compass about yourself. If you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com. You're in the media with me, Brian West, where I give you the top 8 developing and headlines, developing news stories that made it throughout the week. I'm in the business of theater, media, videos, movies, music, publishing consultants, event planners, photography, videography, modeling, web consultants, all types of stuff, intellectual property, performing arts specialist. I'm in my office from 10 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, repairing things, just trying to keep things going. If you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or you can sponsor a program. Let's get to story number 2. who will be accountable for their misdeeds in 2019? Folks, there are some things going on and that went on in 2018. There's some shady stuff that people are saying is going on within the Trump administration itself. Now that Democrats have the majority of the House, they will be probing this president. And when you look at the Khashoggi murder in Saudi Arabia, they will be probing that. And the question we have to ask ourselves in this story, and the reason why I made it to top 8, is the fact that is Saudi Arabia that important to the United States? The fact that their journalists are digging up dirt, not only just on the Prince of Saudi Arabia, but the kingdom in general, and they're saying that there's some shady things going on. And then when they see the president taking the sides of the Saudi government, is raising some red flags. And I do not know how long this political theater is going to last, especially when you've got things kind of balanced out now with Democrats having the House. So you may see some things changing, but Republicans are putting up a fight, and a lot of people who back President Trump are still in the game, and they're trying to hold on to this administration. But when you see, I'm telling you, I may be 36, but I come from an environment where you can sense things when something isn't right, and there's some things happening in the news that especially when you look at just the intelligence, the intel on how this journalist was killed, and what it may do and how it may change the attitudes when it comes to foreign relations, period. There's also some other stories when you talk about who's going to be accountable in 2019, when you talk about the story of racial issues that surface in this country. The way people view the police and authorities, the fact that some people are just, when it comes to the justice system in general, people are just losing trust. And even when you talk about abortion laws, and you talk about some laws that are looking to go against abortion, they're talking about after 15 weeks now. So when you look at all of these, the way people are viewing traditional things that were put in place by people who are trying to, like I said, when you're in mediation and you're trying to figure out what can work and which way to go, I think more people are steering towards the right, because this abortion issue and the fact of killing and all of this corruption, and then the end game, the mob mentality, people do not buy into that, folks, because all it creates is more chaos. You talk about gun violence, and that will be on the radar in 2019. The fact that in 2018 there were a lot of mass shootings. So as we're getting closer and closer to ending this year, you may start to take grasp and to start to notice what is actually happening in the news. I hope, as a mediator in my I think I was only with you for about 5% of 2018. I hope that I gave you, I'm helping some people get informed, because there was a teen, she was an award-winning teen, and she wrote an essay about gun violence, and she was shot and killed by a stray bullet. There's been so many mass shootings when you talk about gun violence in California. So this story surfaced and it's probably going to stay in the news and throughout 2019. Gun violence is a top issue. Even when you talk about doctors even trying to get some type of a research when it comes to the NRA. There's some if you go to the website and you come across a story, it's in our Twitter feed, and you see the blood that whenever somebody gets shot and the doctors have to do surgery, and you see all the blood on the operating table. This is serious stuff, folks. When you talk about, just as we're headed into a new year, there have been so many senseless acts of gun violence that people just do not want to hear. Is causing a lot of confusion when people are just watching people get shot on a day-to-day basis. It's not just in the minority communities. This is happening on a big scale. People for some odd reason, when they want to pour out their wrath other people. They take it out on victims, just innocent people, and it's starting to create a problem. And also in 2019, you probably will see recreational marijuana. The fact that people are playing with the trees, playing with the medicines. People are witchcraft. When you talk about witchcraft and the practice of herbal supplements, and people believing that rituals and marijuana and all types of mixtures of pharmaceutical medicines is going to heal you. So you may see some stuff like that surfacing in 2019 because of the fact that we're reaching a state where the pendulum is trying to go back to the right, but the left, the magnet, the forces, the forces of nature is constantly pulling more people to the left. But a lot of people in this new environment are choosing to go right because they're just tired. They're exhausted. People are just tired of all of the violence. There's even a new syndrome they've got that made it into story number 2. They got this new syndrome called broken heart syndrome, where people are actually dying because of a broken heart. And this is why these stories are, when you got to stay informed, you got to know what's going on. If you see somebody who's been an uplifting person their entire life, never under, and they just all of a sudden just have a heart attack, there's a lot straying that person, probably straying that person down. People, and liberation has its place in life. You can listen to an uplifting song and feel alive, but the holiday season is supposed to make people feel alive. It's supposed to give you the spirit of giving, the joy of the holiday season. And you don't, and if people are trying to drag people down with terrible demoralizing and just darkness, I mean, what do you expect? There's going to be some people with broken hearts. Kids have to know the reason for the season, and it's not that religion is bad, but the story. If you read the story and you read the stories about all the prophets who laid down the foundation of where we are today, there's some inspiration in there, but how you interpret the story is up to you. There's some deceivers out there as well. People when you get into these circles and you see how this is going to affect other people's lives, people can be deceived when it comes to. That's why I always tell people, when you read these and you get educated on your Bible or any type of scripture or any type of historical document, read it for yourself, see what you get out of it. But right now there's some deceivers out there, folks, and if I were not lying to you, there's a lot at stake when people are talking about. I mean, they're treating historical documents written by, I'm pretty sure, some very wise individuals, some very wise people. You can learn a lesson, but if you read scriptures, Bibles, especially around the holidays, it will inform you. It will enlighten you if you read it. That's the catch. You have to read it and just do your study. And they're also talking about some other things that may strike a chord in 2019, is the fact that pollution may now be linked to autism, and the fact that Americans have a bad drinking problem. Did you know that there are almost 88,000 deaths that have been because of alcohol-related incidents this year? People are getting drunk, and that's why I'm telling you, people are steering towards the right, and that's why you're seeing what you see happening in the news. People are steering towards the right because they're starting to want a foundation for their own families. There's been some tough, hard knock stuff said in the media, but people want something that works. They want their children to grow up with a stable mind, a stable environment. And right now, some people say people on the right are too radical. They have no sense of no fun, but going in towards this holiday season, you have to know something about why why it's such a spiritual time, why you have to remember certain things, and you have to think religiously sometimes. Sometimes you have to focus on what is right, and that's the goal. Let's get to story number 3. If you want to contribute any way, you're in the meeting with me, Brian West, where I go through the top 8 stories that made it into the news, top 8 headlines, developing news stories to give you throughout the week. Trying to keep it on a light note because we're in the holiday season, keeping everybody just on the right wavelength. Too much violence, too many people who probably will not see their family members this holiday season because of just violence and people just doing some just horrific acts, and just people of all faiths. I mean, it's not just Christians that are going through pain. There are some deceivers out there, folks. There's some people who are on this planet to kill, steal, and destroy, and their motives are not that of everybody else's. Some people see things differently. Some people have health issues, mental health issues. But if you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or read something. You're in the Mediator with me, Brian West, giving you the top 8 headlines, developing news stories that made it throughout the week. If you want to stop by the office, I'm there at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio. I'm there from 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, fixing, advising, and doing the best I can as a public business servant in the community. Let's get to story number 3 real quick. What role are women playing in the new world? There was a story about Al Franken. He was reflecting on some of the things that has happened when he was he's talking about how he misses the Senate sometimes, but he was talking about women and the way they're changing the course of of how thinking is, and how women are trying. There's even I think in Virginia, they're trying to get equal rights for women. Some women are just saying, just that's why I'm telling you about this pendulum, because it's swinging constantly to the right, to the left. And in Saudi Arabia, in some countries, when it comes to religious law, some countries torture women, some countries don't allow women to do the same things that men do, just the culture. But in the United States, the women are allowed to do things that men do, and it's like a normal here. So, but this story crept its way. It actually rode up to number 3 because of the fact that a lot of people are lonely. A lot of people can't find a good relationship, a good stable relationship, because of the things that have changed. Now there are a lot of men at home taking care of the children. A lot of women are working. They're doing things. They're carrying out. I mean, some people can act as a team. Some people can't. But that's what got the story into number 3, is because of the fact that some of it hasn't changed. There were some stories that surfaced about women having to sell their bodies for jobs and money. So this is the when you and then you have some men who take advantage of women. So, and then you have activists who are fighting on the front lines, but when you like I said, we're headed around a magical season that talks about the fundamentals of faith, family values, and things like that. But we're in a time where things have changed. You take this back to where the United States was founded, and many countries were founded. Women were not allowed to do certain things. They were not allowed to vote. So we're headed in a different direction. But some people are choosing to stay on the right. Some people are just giving up. They're putting down their weapons and they're not fighting anymore, because they're starting to think. They're saying we submit ourselves to the right. But this is what's happening, and as you look throughout the media and in the news right now, you're seeing the pendulum swinging, because some people are saying, I'm just going to try to live a normal life. Some people are even choosing to stay out of the spotlight because of what's happening in the media and in the news. Some people feel like they're being deceived, and that's why story number 3, when you talk about the role of women is in this new world. And the fact that things are changing. The job of motherhood is still the same, but it's becoming more complex because a lot of men are not sticking around, and a lot of mothers are out partying and they're not sticking around. So things are changing. The atmosphere around this time, around holiday season time, I would probably say around the 80s, or you would probably have a different view of Christmas or the holiday season. You would probably have had more people inside of churches. In church, you probably would have seen more people. You probably would see more people being active in religion. But now, because of all the chaos and all the war, people are choosing to stay at home. Some people aren't even going out shopping anymore. They're shopping online. So things are changing, folks. But the thing that we have to ask ourselves is it changing for the better, or is it changing for the worse? And which side will the pendulum swing to in 2019 as we get closer and closer to the new year? Story number 4. Immigrants, asylum seekers, migrants, and the border. Story number 4 is, this story will not leave because of the fact that You've got 14,000 unaccompanied immigrant children in U.S. custody, and the fact that you have a caravan that reached that is they're saying is at the border and is causing a lot of problems. So this the reason why story number 4 is in the news is because of the fact that if you look throughout this year, the immigration problem and the migrant problem has been a problem. These people saying they're fleeing a country that is war torn, it's criminals everywhere, it's chaos, and they're trying to leech on to the United States structure, the system, and we have a president and administration in the White House right now who seems to not be as passive and it just when you talk to immigration laws, they say that most caravan migrants, they say that they're teenage males, and they say that over 500 of them were criminals. So there's some things going on, but there was a big turnout by Latinos in the midterm elections. So you're starting to see things as this pendulum swings in the United States. Some people are trying to hang on to values and beliefs, but as there becomes a mixture of cultures in the system, things are starting to change. Things are starting to really shift, but they're shifting in different directions because of the fact that you have so many faiths, so many people in the voice now, or in the news talking about what they believe. DHS chief. She visited the Mexican border and she's defending this administration's rules as stated in a report. So this is story number 4. Immigrants, asylum seekers, migrants, and the border probably will stay in the headlines. It's going to keep developing because of the fact that these people are fleeing their countries. They're fleeing corruption. They're fleeing a lack of government, a lack of structure, and they want a stable environment, and they're willing to do anything for it. They're willing to travel through countries to try to seek some type of a better life, and that's what's happening. Did you know that fewer immigrant families are now signing up for federal assistance food stamps programs? They say it's been a 10% decline in 2018. So people are starting people are getting informed, and when people are starting to get the word out that who knows why it failed. It could be because people just don't want to lose their citizen. They want to become citizens. They want to feel that they want to be better citizens. Who knows? Maybe the job force might have increased. Maybe some people just went off the radar. But as data continues to come in, these stories continue to develop. And the fact that you have a president who's threatening to close the Mexico border. So when you look at the story and you look at how the facts and the analysts may be coming out every week with something new, something to feed off of, these stories will affect how people are voting, how people are thinking. And now that you have more people becoming active on the ground, seeing what's happening, and you have an administration who is not promoting government, not promoting big government, trying to promote the work ethic, trying to promote getting back in the workroom floor, just changing the way things have been done. So that's probably why you see people so loyal to this administration, even though we have some issues with the way it's designed. People are talking about white nationalists and things. So these stories are in the news, but it's giving people a different flavor, a different cloth to wash up with when they're thinking about why things are happening the way they are. But the style, when you look at the tactics, the brutal tactics, we have to ask ourselves, is this the way it should be? Is it morally right? And how will it affect this country years from now? Will these policies make us worse off? Because out of those children, we don't know which one of them is going to grow up and hate the United States. We don't know just because of somebody saying no. When you say yes, everybody loves you. But when you say no and you start rejecting and closing the door, you create some enemies. And this is what we made. So years from now, unlike when we got through the Great Depression and the recession, when the policies were in favor and trying to be productive, years from now, we don't know how changing the trade agreements, how closing the borders, threatening violence against immigrants or asylum seekers, we don't know years from now which one of those children or which one of these guys is going to grow up and become We don't know. We don't know. So that's what's the suspense and the mysteries behind us. Let's get to story number 5. We're halfway through we're halfway into mediation. You're the mediator with me, Brian West, where I give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories, navigating the news just for you, to give you a comfort zone so you can understand what's happening and be informed and know what's happening in your neck of the woods. Something that you may not have known about. You may hear it in the mediator. If you want to contribute in any way, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, methodating.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Folks, the pendulum is swinging. And let's get to story number 5 real quick. As we get through, I want to have some time for Tony Zetz. She gave me one of her Christmas CDs. Like I said, if you're a local artist and around the holidays, you have maybe some holiday songs that you may want to put out to the public, and you feel like it's holiday worthy, give it a shot. Stop in 5648 Market Street, drop your CD off, your song, and we'll see if it can get some buzz at the end of the show. Story number 5, Black Friday and the new view of religion. Folks, this story crept in is kind of heating up because we're around the holidays, and religion plays a big part in how we believe. And when you talk about the Bible, when you talk about all different faiths coming together, some people coming together to forgive, some people being peacemakers, some people putting down their weapon and deciding that they just want peace in their lives. They know that war doesn't really solve much. And one thing about the mediator is I'm always trying to be a peacemaker. I was raised up to the clouds and to the sun as a child, to mediate, to bring you to keep people informed. It is my purpose. It is my supreme duty in this life, and hopefully in the next life, to relax and chill out, finally, after working so hard in this life. But as we get closer and closer to the Christmas holiday, you hear the topic of religion and faith popping up on everybody's mind. This is a magical time of year, and anybody who knows the story of Christ, and they know the story behind all the dynamics to bring us to this point right now. There may be some people who do not know the story, who do not know why missionaries, and there's a story about this missionary that made it to the news, and his family wants some type of answers on why he kept trying to go to this island and he was killed by a tribe. But missionaries, there's a lot of missionaries who are always killed on to try to spread the gospel. And people, one thing I can say about a passive environment is that the whole purpose of this show today, and the stories that what I got out of every story that made us to the top 8, is the fact that when people take advantage of goodness and good deeds, it creates if you are ignorant to religious beliefs, religious laws, then in the end you may be in submittance. You may be like Peter. You may be like Peter who get crucified upside down. You may be like Paul. You may be like most Christians or most religious activists who've given their life and devoted it to God's will, and no people try to explain, because we have Scientology, we have all these different beliefs now. People try to find some reasoning to why things happen. They separate the facts from the fiction. But the truth is that every physicist will tell you, most physicists and most science, most scholars, most people who are in the field will tell you there's something designing this atmosphere. This could not have happened by accident, that human beings were able to embrace this planet and have so many resources. And even in the Bible, it talks about famine and people going to worship different types of gods and different types of deities, even some people worshiping other people, and the end result. So as we approach this holiday season, it's always good to remember and to try to seek reference to why these holidays were created, and why it's good to stay alert on, and why presents are given out to children, and why it's considered a time, a family time, a time to reflect. So as we get closer and closer, as we some people don't, most people don't, a lot of people don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but there's stories behind all these traditions, and I encourage you to get informed. So that's this. As we see people going out shopping, and the new view of religion, the religion has stayed the same. It's a simple format, but the mind has evolved, and people are starting to lose the touch with reading and understanding why some people believe what they believe, or the magic, or why is such a time of year to reflect a time of year to be with family and friends, and that's what people may be forgetting. You hear some of these people who are just who may not under who look at the culture within the atmosphere of certain religions. They look at the culture and they refuse to get an understanding of just the reading and the why the stories are the way they are, or why do people need a place like a faith to cling on to when something is going wrong. Why do human beings look for hope in their lives, a reason, some type of a motivation? Why do people turn to drugs? Why do people who have traumatic experiences in their lives, why do they need faith, religion? This has been a mystery throughout all of mankind. And some people have manipulated this system, have manipulated people's thoughts and minds to steer them and away from the fundamentals of life, the fact of peace and trying to live a good life, and you can't wrong people for that. Whenever somebody chooses just to devote their life to a certain faith, I mean that's why it says freedom of religion, and that's why in this show I'm not gonna badger any faith. I'm not gonna badger anybody because I'm the mediator, and I'm trying to get people to understand that around this time of year, this is probably the best time of year to forgive people and to try to get them on the road to redemption, because I'm sure there's something and that goes on after this life. We can't just be here. There's got to be a reason for all this, and there's got to be some people who are going to be accountable for the action that they've done in this life. Let's get to story number 6. If you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something in the business of theater, video, movies, music, intellectual property, just all different types, anything that you see on TV, anything that you hear on the radio, consulting, computer tech guru, I mean everything, event planners, photography, videography, a little bit of everything at Method 8. We're there at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, just selling books, just keeping people involved, trying to put money in people's pockets and keep money in my own as well. I'm a normal person. I face woes every day. There's some people who I probably owe money to in this life. Hopefully they'll see it. If they can't get it in this life, I'll be ready in the next life, ready to pay up. Story number 6. Is the Trump machine losing steam? I have to hurry up along so I have time to play Tony Zett's Christmas songs. Get a little bit of the spirit in the air. Is the Trump machine losing steam? People are starting to catch on. And like every president, they can be analyzed, scrutinized, and all types of things as they get further and further into their presidency. But with the Democrats winning the House, I think people, whatever the Trump agenda was, it let's just see. We'll find out in these next before 2020 if it's losing steam. There's been lawsuits filed against his president. There's even facts that they're even starting to criticize his daughter because of her email use. But Trump is continuously putting up a fight. He's gathering supporters and people, but the Trump agenda may not be for everybody, and nobody, I guess the guy is just so unpredictable that people are just, they really don't have a clear view, and people say his nationalist agenda is not the correct agenda for this new environment. And so this president, he's been rejected in many platforms within his own country. In some places he's been accepted, some places he hasn't, but he keeps tooting along. But the question that will remain as we get closer and closer to 2020 is his game plan losing steam? But the Republicans, they're putting out facts, and but when you look at the wars with the media, the motives and the reasoning behind why this president was elected, and the agenda, the informed and the uninformed, we try to figure out is this going to last? Is this movement, this grassroots movement that started probably in the living rooms of business people who have who understand what's going on in politics, and even when you talk about foreign relations, when you look at the fact that North Korea has stopped firing missiles, but there's evidence that they do not plan to denuclearize. So when you look at sometimes this president, you look at what's happening, you see results. Some people say this economy may be losing steam. It may not be gaining as much traction, but where people are saying they see jobs, but the fact that people are just not, the quality of workmanship is not there, the motivation. So they're saying that this president is failing to be a motivator when it comes to the average working class citizen. So when you look at how the Republicans have to restructure their game plan for the next year or two, they may have to try to be motivators. They might have to reach across the aisle now because of the fact that you have a majority Democrat in the House. So they may have to start catering to some of the needs and the voices that are putting these people in office. So when you look at this presence and you see what he's doing, and you have to ask yourselves, if he's losing steam, how will he pick up the engines in the next 2 years, and how will he get reelected? But there's many things happening in the news that will probably keep story number 6 going, and probably keep that red light on Trump. It will keep the spotlight on Donald Trump. Let's get to story number 7, the top 2 stories that made it to the media this week. Like I said, if you want to contribute in any way, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, methodating.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or you can sponsor a program. We're in the business of theater, media, videos, movies, music, intellectual property, consulting, event planners, photography, videography, web consulting, so much stuff that deals with intellectual property. Anything you see on TV, anything you see on the news, radio, I specialize in that. I'm at 5648 Market Street in Bourbon, Ohio, giving you the top 8 headlines developing news stories that made it throughout the week so you can stay informed, know what's going on. It is my duty to navigate the news just for you so you can see what's happening, make sense, see where we're going in the direction. But there's some things happening in the news that are changing every day. Stories are evolving, developing, and the truth is coming out. People are dying on the front lines for the candidates, for the people they vote for. Let's get to the top 2 stories that made it to the media this week. Story number 7, how global affairs are affecting the children. Yes, folks, if like I said, we're in the holiday season, a magical time of year, and one thing the Bible does say is that try not to turn children away from God, and it tells you that God is good. People have been mystified by the concept of God for years. Some people have found ways to manipulate it, and some people have found ways to artificially try to inflict beliefs on people and get people to worship them and do things all types of manipulative ways, but they've been deceiving. But one thing that I do remember that verse is saying that, but in this new environment, folks, mankind has kind of failed in that arena in many ways. You look overseas, you look at just the fact that babies are being left in restrooms. There's even mothers in Afghanistan that have had to sell their children and have had to just to be able to feed their household. Children have got more mental illnesses than they've ever had before. 85,000 children dead from malnutrition in Yemen. 1/3 of U.S. parents plan to skip vaccinations of flu shots because of distrust or just lack of resources. Parenting has changed. Some people are blaming it on the policies of parties that were put in power, and some people are saying that it's just a sign of the times. But there's a reality that children are affected by global affairs. If you don't believe me, keep an eye. Watch when you see children in the going to school and they're being robbed for their shoes. They're being bullied. They're being shot at. Some children wake up in the middle of the night in the slums of the United States. They're not getting anything for Christmas. Their mom doesn't have a job. Father's not around. Some women have been manipulated into and they can't get rid of some of these men who they're with, and next thing you know, they become pregnant. They decide to have the child. But there's a reason for this season, folks. There's a reason for the holiday season. It is just to remind you that there is something greater going on in the universe. There's something greater going on in the afterlife. If you believe in it, if you choose to believe, you can choose to believe in the greatest story ever told as we get closer. And we're in the holiday season, folks. But this time is magical when children were supposed to be good children and trying to do the right thing and not being afraid to express themselves with decency and respect and have respect for others and trying to be good citizens and good Samaritans so that they can reap with the benefits, reap what they sow as good people. And children are being affected, and the Islam children are being affected, and innocent Christian children are being sacrificed for people who want revenge. Children are being caught in gun violence, being shot at. So that's why story number 7 popped all the way up to number 7. How global affairs are affecting the children across the world, folks. This is a reality. This is what is happening in the atmosphere, and this is why you have to have time, a season, a time of magicalness. Designers of these holidays knew that there would come a time where darkness would be spreading across the world, but there's supposed to be a beacon of light. And if you cannot get it in children, if you don't show mercy in this life, I'm telling you, I believe that there is no mercy in the afterlife, because they say the ultimate judge. People, if you look at the coding, the genetic coding of human beings, how we're designed, the feelings we express, the emotions, the way we think, it has to be a creator. There has to be a designer of all this. Some people have defects. They still don't understand the reasoning. They want to throw stones at the penmanship of the wise at heart, the wise in mind. And they don't want to believe. But I'm telling you, there's something happening. Let's get to story number 8 real quick. If you want to contribute, you're in the mediator with me, Brian West, where I give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories that made it throughout the week. And if you want to contribute anyway, you can go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, methoding.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Story number 8, top story that made it to the mediator, is why won't climate talk go away? Folks, there's some, if you look at what happened in California, the climate change debate is starting to heat up again. There's an eye on China. And the reason why I say China is important to keep it, not only just why they're the center of focus, is because China has pollution. And they will tell you that pollution is not good for... So there's been an attack on fossil fuels, and many people are not looking at this president's policies to be any better. So they're looking at his agenda, and they're just looking at the fact that fossil fuels, they're blaming fossil fuels for climate change. And we look at what can happen if we continue to go direction. Many scientists are saying that climate change can be blamed for West Nile virus, asthma, allergies, foodborne and waterborne diseases. They're even talking about energy systems being taxed, more blackouts and failures, rise in sea levels, and this is all because of climate change. And some people are very critical of Trump pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. So keep an eye. This story is heating up because of what's happened in California. Donald Trump said it was because of the mismanagement between the way they handled the forest. But there's something happening on the earth right now, and many people are saying that the earth is heating up, and they're trying to find reasoning behind this. And scientists are saying that the data is pointing to climate change. And there's volcanoes erupted, and even in Guatemala. So we just saw the volcano erupt in Hawaii. We've seen a massive wildfire, like I said, in California that wiped out almost a whole town. And people dying, some people still missing, religion is a hot topic, but I'm sure that there's some scientific reasoning behind that. And people, when people leash on to stories like this, they try to put their beliefs and stuff like this, but there's something going on this planet, folks, and there's a reality setting in. Those are the top 8 stories, local stories that made it in this week. Drug violence still causing a lot of trouble in the Northeast Ohio and area, and especially in the inner cities. The future of GM plans in Mahoning Valley remain a hot topic, and Youngstown Zoning Board approves medical marijuana dispensaries. Folks, like I said, there's a lot going on in the world in mediation, and it's my duty to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories every week. If you want to contribute in any way, you can go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, methoding.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. We had an event last week where we brung in the holidays this year with our annual movie premiere, and I got to meet Tony Zetz. She's a 3-time cancer survivor, and she sings. I don't want to give her age out because that wouldn't be polite of me as a man, but she uses singing to express herself and to keep herself alive. She gave me her Christmas CD. I'm going to close out the show with a Christmas song, holiday song, because as an advocate and a believer that there's something greater in this life, and I believe in the concept of the story, especially around the holiday season, that God would be so merciful that he would come through us to come through us and come to fellowship with us and be with us as His creation. And he would I would rather serve a God like that, who's merciful and looks at mankind and gives us a chance to be redeemed, a chance to be better ourselves. I'm not perfect. I myself, I have my own bad habits. So around these time of season and time of year, I usually try to reflect. I look at my life. So I look at and I try to be grateful. I try to be grateful. Grateful for my family's not all that great. We have some flaws, but I try to just keep in the right spirit. So I'm going to end today's show with Tony Zett's Christmas songs, well, one of her songs. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope it gives you something to reflect on this holiday season. And like I said, if you want to submit your Christmas songs or some of your holiday tunes that you may have, you can stop by 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, and you could stop by. And I'm there from 10 to 6 Monday through Friday. And just like I said, if you want to play some songs on the radio, this is maybe your chance. You can stop by my office, 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio. You're in the mediator with me, Brian West, and I'm going to start off, get us into the Christmas spirit as we end the show with a tune from Tony Zetts. I wish y'all the best of luck, and don't forget METHOD, the number 8, INC.com if you want to contribute anyway. Thank you for tuning to the mediator with me, Brian West. Have a good week, everybody.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The mediator is here.